हेलो गाइस, नाउ वी विल डिस्कस व्हाट इज़ अ रिसर्च पेपर के बारे में थोड़ा सा हम इसको देखेंगे कि व्हाट इज़ अ रिसर्च पेपर. रिसर्च इज द मेथोडिकल इन्वेस्टिगेशन इनटू अ सब्जेक्ट इन ऑर्डर टू डिस्कवर facts, to establish or revise a theory, or to develop a plan of action based on the facts discovered. The findings and conclusions of such an investigation appear in the research paper. The term research paper refers to a particular genre of academic writing in which the writer's own interpretation, evaluation, or argument on a specific issue is given prominence. A research paper involves surveying a field of knowledge in order to find the best possible information in that field. Such information is then utilized to present a competent argument on a topic. Hence, a research paper requires a presentation of one's own thinking backed by others' ideas and information. In short, a research paper is focused on a specific issue or problem, a presentation of facts that are based upon extensive reading and extraction of information from several sources, and original in selection of literature, evaluation, expression, and conclusion. सही है जी. What are the qualities of a good research paper? Whatever may be the types of research works and studies, one thing that is important is that they all meet a common ground on of systematic method employed by them. One expects systematic research to satisfy certain criteria. Usually, a research is considered a good when it is systematic. It means that the research is structured with specific steps to be taken in a specified sequence in accordance with the well defined set of rules. Systematic characteristic of research does not rule out, discard, prevent creative thinking, but it certainly does reject the use of guessing and intuition arriving at conclusions. सही है. अपने पास है अपनी जो जिसको कहते हैं कि गैस वर्क और इंट्यूशन वगैरह से अवॉइड करके सिस्टमेटिक तरीके से प्रॉपर एक्सपेरिमेंटल बेस्ड रिसर्च करनी है, लॉजिकल हो. ठीक है. This implies that the research is guided by the rules of logical reasoning, and the logical process of induction and deduction are of great value in carrying out research. Induction is the process of reasoning from a part to the whole, whereas deduction is the process of reasoning from the premise. In fact, logical reasoning makes research more meaningful in the context of decision making. अच्छा जी, फिर empirical या tangible, it implies that the research is related basically to one or more aspects of real situation and deals with the concrete data, provides a basis for the external validity of the research results. Replicable, ये बड़ा important point है कि आपका रिसर्च पेपर जो है उसको उसको रिप्रोड्यूस किया जा सके, यानी मतलब उसकी जो एक्सपेरिमेंट आपने किया ना, कोई बंदा आपका पेपर पढ़े तो वो भी उस एक्सपेरिमेंट को रिपीट कर ले. वैसे तो ये होना चाहिए. ठीक है, लेकिन बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं रिसर्च पेपर में नहीं भी शेयर होती. ठीक है. अच्छा, replicability is one of the most important yardsticks for judging the quality of a research paper. The researcher's presentation and explanation of the system, logic, and data collection should be designed in such a way that the reader is able to replicate the study. ये बहुत ज़्यादा ये कहा जाता है. अच्छा जी, reductive. A good research can reduce the confusion of facts that language and language teaching frequently present. Comprehensive. A research can be considered good if it has the ability encompass all the important parts of the topic into a complete picture, but it should not present excessive detail which may hamper the development of the thought. Prolific, it suggests that a good research builds on but also offers something new to previous research. इसमें new thing novelty होनी चाहिए, इसको हम कहते हैं novelty. ठीक है. It should have the potential to suggest directions for future research. जैसे हम conclusion के बाद में लिखते हैं future research directions. Relevant. A good researcher will be able to extract the relevant information from the large amounts of info. Complete research will have the core information or sets of core information which together answers the question directly, and contextual information which determines whether or not the core research is applicable to the given circumstances. That is, research must be relevant, well executed. The researcher should also be able to convey the research in an accessible format. That is, the research must be easy to make use of. Acha ji, what are the qualities of a good research paper? What qualities or characteristics make a research a successful research? Every step of the research study is important. Negligence in any step can affect the complete study and not just that part. There are certain characteristics that are necessary in every research. These characteristics make the research a valid and generalizable study. Having just information and data is not enough for a good research paper. You must know the qualities of a good research paper to present in a proper way. Research is all about deep investigation to unearth the truth. Research is laborious and hard work in reality and requires great patience and control. Research paper requires rigorousness to maintain its quality. ठीक है, ये फिक्रा देखें. Research paper requires rigorousness to maintain its quality. There can be several factors that can affect the quality and outcome of the research. The researcher should have a control over these factors. Some factors will affect the research, ये ऐसे होगा, will affect the research positively, while other factors can negatively affect the research. Negative factors can decrease the validity of the research, so these factors should be kept in control by the researcher. For example, in a study conducted on the effect of humidity on the textile strength of viscous fibers, the researcher has to test the performance of the fabric under great humidity, less humidity, and under standard humidity. The humidity will be kept in control by the researcher to get valid and generalizable results. In another study, the researcher has to study the effect of socio-economic class on the performance of the children in school. The researcher will see that no other factors are influencing the performance of the children. There can be many other factors like parenting style, peer group influence, or siblings rivalry that is affecting the performance of the child, but the research should have a strict control over these extraneous factors. यानी जो फैक्टर्स को आप स्टडी कर रहे हैं उन पे आपका कंट्रोल होना चाहिए. ऐसा ना हो कि किसी और फैक्टर का भी फैक्ट उसमें इंक्लूड हो रहा हो, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. So another very important and basic characteristic of research paper is that it should have to be controlled or measured. Everything that you add in a research paper is pre-planned and cannot happen just by chance. The first step in conducting a research is choosing a research topic. From that step till the end, writing the research paper, the researcher should keep control over the research study. He should measure the consequences of each step that has planned to take prior to taking it. Example क्या जी, a researcher is conducting a research on the effect of permanent press finishes on HTE durability characteristic of the fabrics. In this research, the researcher should accurately measure the effect of permanent press finishes and there should not be any other finishes on the fabric. Accurate होनी चाहिए जी. Accuracy is important because without accuracy the research paper cannot be valid and generalizable. In every step of research, the researcher has to check the accuracy. When the researcher is reviewing literature, he should write down the references along with the literature review so that when writing those reviews he can accurately write the reference of each review. While testing the hypothesis, the researcher should write down the results of the test accurately so that there is no error. In research, the researcher should leave no chances of error by himself. He should ensure the accuracy of his research to 100%. Suppose a researcher is conducting a research on the impact of physical disabilities in children on the peer group acceptance. The researcher is using interview as a tool of data collection. That the researcher should record the responses of the interviews accurately and he should not invest bias in any way. Third one is clear. A research paper should have to be free of ambiguities and it should have great clarity. Clarity is one of the main essences of research, and without clarity, the research paper is useless. A researcher should be cautious about the clarity of the research. The researcher should first develop a clear research question or research problem, and once the research problem is clear and understandable, the researcher can conduct the research without hurdles. Suppose the researcher makes a research problem that how media influences child development. In this research question, the researcher needs to clarify which development, social development, mental, physical या motor किस तरह के development की बात हो रही है. The researcher cannot undertake the study unless ही brings clarity to the research problem. Research problem clear होनी चाहिए, ambiguous नहीं होनी चाहिए. Concise. As a researcher, you do not need to add a lot of research paper to make it unique or interesting. Rather, you should add only relevant and original content. The readers will be able to understand a concise research more easily. There should not be unnecessary details in the research. A researcher can write details and lots of explanations, but these details and explanations should be of value to the researcher. The researcher should not add unnecessary details in the research. The research paper is more concise in nature than dissertation and thesis. Valid. Validity is most important concern in writing and conducting a research. The actual strength of the research paper is its validity. Valid research is applicable to various situations in general, or it can be applied to any specific situation, people, or society. Example क्या है जी? The constructs you are using to measure the attitudes, behavior, and other phenomena, whether they really measure that what you want to measure, or you made something else. Verifiable. The data the researcher adds in the research paper should have to be verifiable and provable. The researcher should be able to demonstrate the research paper, and there should not be any loopholes in the information. The researcher should know from where the data has been taken and how it has been analyzed. ठीक है. Suppose another researcher is trying to repeat the similar study to make it more valid. He should be able to get information from the previous research. If the previous research will be invalid or unverifiable, the new research will also get affected. Research is an ongoing process, and not only research helps in general development of humanity, but it more specifically is used by the new researchers to generate more information. हमारी एक ट्रेनिंग हुई थी, सिडनी से आए थे प्रोफेसर, उनका नाम मेरे जहन से निकल गया. वो कह रहे थे कि किसी भी मुल्क की जो तरक्की है वो डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल है रिसर्च से, कि वहाँ पे कितनी रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट हो रही है. यानी जिस मुल्क में जितनी ज़्यादा रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट होती है उस मुल्क उतना ज़्यादा प्रोग्रेस कर रहा होता है. यानी रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट असली वाली, ये पेपर दौड़नी. ठीक है. The sequential. The research should have to be conducted and written in a logical manner. The research should follow a sequence so that he cannot get troubled in the end as to how to compile this research. It is better if you start writing the research paper as you are conducting it. रिसर्च के साथ साथ ही पेपर लिखना शुरू कर देना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं कि पहले आप सारी रिसर्च करेंगे, सारा कुछ करेंगे, फिर रिसर्च पेपर लिखेंगे. ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए. साथ साथ ही रिसर्च पेपर लिखना शुरू कर दें. ठीक है. बल्कि एक ट्रेनिंग में मैं देख रहा था कि प्रोफेसर कह रहा था कि भाई पहले रिसर्च पेपर लिखो, बाद में रिसर्च करो. पहले रिसर्च पेपर लिखो, कुछ पोर्शन तो लिख सकते हो ना, आप उसका इंट्रो लिख सकते हो, आप उसका लिटरेचर रिव्यू लिख सकते हो, आप उसकी मेथोडोलॉजी भी लिख सकते हो. रिजल्ट्स एंड डिस्कशन वाला पार्ट छोड़ दो. अब उससे होता क्या है कि आपको डायरेक्शन आपकी क्लियर हो जाती है कि रिसर्च में, कि मैंने किस डायरेक्शन में रिसर्च करनी है. सही है. तो ये एक ट्रेनिंग में ये भी कहा गया था कि पहले पेपर लिखो फिर रिसर्च करो. ऐसा नहीं कि पहले आपने सारी रिसर्च करनी है फिर पेपर लिखना. भाई आप पहले पेपर लिख लो, बहुत सारी चीज़ें आप लिख सकते हो. रिजल्ट्स एंड डिस्कशन वाला पार्ट अभी रहने दो, बाकी चीज़ें उसकी लिख लो ताकि आपको क्लियर हो जाए कि आपने करना क्या है. क्लैरिटी आएगी आपको. ठीक है. Precise. Preciseness means the research paper should have completeness and should contain detailed investigation of the research topic. The research should contain exact answers to the research questions. It is not possible that the researcher formulates a specific research question about women injustice in underdeveloped countries but answers the question about more general topic like gender biases. Original. The research paper should contain only original content and copy work should be. कॉपी वर्क नहीं होना चाहिए. आपका काम आपका अपना होना चाहिए, ओरिजिनल होना चाहिए, यूनिक होना चाहिए. यू कैन ऐड लिटरेचर फ्रॉम अदर सोर्स इन वेरियस फॉर्म्स लाइक इन द फॉर्म लिटरेचर, बट यू शुड नेवर compromise on the originality of the research paper. Suppose a researcher conducted research on the impact of financial resources and family on the personality development of children. The researcher has decided to take black Negroes population and he cannot get the required number of sample. In this case, he cannot use the other people's finding to justify his research. He has to use truly original data that has been collected from truly representative sample. Coherent. ये बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है कि एक फ्लो होना चाहिए आपकी उसमें. ठीक है ना. कोहेरेंस इज नेसेसरी बिकॉज इट मेक्स द रिसर्च पेपर अ कंप्लीट इन वन यूनिट. Every part of the research paper should be linked so that what makes it at a whole. यानी रिसर्च पेपर का हर फ़िक्रा दूसरे फ़िक्रे से कनेक्ट होना चाहिए, उसमें डिसकनेक्शन ना आए। द रिसर्चर शुड स्टिक टू वन थीम एंड शुड नॉट वांडर फ्रॉम वन टॉपिक टू अनदर। ये बहुत गलती होती है अक्सर। एकेडमिक स्टाइल ऑफ राइटिंग, अब वो कुछ बच्चे, एक पेपर में देख रहा था, एक बच्चे ने जमा करा है, वो जैसे अफसाने नहीं लिखते हैं, जैसे अफसाना लिखा होता है ऐसे लगे जैसे पायरेट्स ऑफ कैरिबियन वाली बुक पढ़ लूँ मैं। वो पता नहीं किस तरह से उसने लिखा हुआ है, मैंने बुलाया, मैंने कहा भाई ये क्या किया हुआ है, तो आपकी स्टाइल ऑफ राइटिंग एकेडमिक होनी चाहिए, ठीक है। So writing a research paper is the last step of the research, and writing requires rigorousness. The researcher should follow an academic style of writing, and any ostentatiousness in writing should be avoided. The language of the research paper should have to be simple and easy to understand. A research paper research should have a decency, and they should have decent words होने चाहिए, ना कि वो नावल वाले on the eve of this है, started like a this, वो जैसे कोई अफसाना नहीं लिख रहा है तो कोई नावल लिख रहा है, वो चीज़ नहीं होनी चाहिए। ये इस तरह की चीज़ें मैंने देखी हैं। तो थीसिस और डिसर्टेशन शुड हैव डिसेंसी। बल्कि एक पेपर का रिव्यू आया हुआ था बड़े अच्छे चैनल से, वो जब मैंने पढ़ा थोड़ा सा स्टार्ट में, मैंने ये इसने क्या किया हुआ है, पता नहीं किस तरह लिखा हुआ था इसने। जी, देयर शुड हैव टू बी लीस्ट ornamentation. The purpose of the research is to bring into light facts and figures. The researcher should avoid the use of double-barreled sentences, complex language, or unnecessary details. The research should have to be concise and precise in nature or generalizable. The research paper findings should be generalizable, and the findings should be applicable to the society in one way or the other. Sometimes the purpose of the research is to develop new research tools, techniques, or data collection instruments. Such research may not be useful for the society in general, but in the long run, researchers will be able to use these tools or techniques to conduct more researchers. Example क्या है, the researcher is conducting a study on the life of transgender class in the society. He has to collect data from different people who belong to this class. The researcher should understand that he cannot generalize his findings until he has selected an unbiased and truly representative sample. He cannot select a sample from one area of population, rather he should select sample from every area of the population to make it representative of the whole population. तो ये थोड़ी सी गाइडलाइंस थी एक अच्छे रिसर्च पेपर के हवाले से।